What's up, Exchange? Do you guys ever have those days where you're just like, in just a dumb, goofy mood? You ever have those days? So I'm just gonna give you guys a warning. Look at your neighbor and say, uh-oh. Yo, I'm in one of those moods. Alright, so y'all ready? Alright, fasten your seatbelt. Let's get it. Alright, hey, how many of you guys have loved the sermon series, What's Next? Alright, so just a quick recap. I'm not sure if you guys have been aware, but what we've been doing is we've actually been going over the 4 pillars of Crossroads Church and the Exchange in this series. Look at your neighbor and say, the 4 pillars. Alright? So, for tonight, I have this incredible, brilliant idea of an illustration, and I have my friend Austin here to help me. Y'all say, hi, Austin! Alright. So with the idea that we believe that there are 4 key pillars that you need for your Christian walk, I decided to use Austin, who's going to represent everyone in here that is a Christ follower. Alright? And with each leg of the chair, it's going to represent a different pillar. Alright? So this first leg, first week, Pastor Kirkman talked about connect. He talked about that you need to connect with God if you want to reflect God. Amen? Alright? The second week, he talked about how we all have, or last week he talked about how we all have a level of influence as Christ followers. That we need to lead by example. We need to lead as Christ led. And then the second week he talked about how we need to serve if we want to discover our purpose. You see, as we go into this 4th pillar, I believe that it is absolutely 100% vital to your walk if you want to be a true Christ follower. Because without this pillar, alright, y'all say bye, Austin. Without this pillar, you won't make it. Alright? Look at your neighbor and say, you won't make it. You won't make it. So to finish up our sermon series called What's Next, I want to show you guys, I have something special for you guys tonight. Look at your neighbor and say, something special. Alright, we have a skit for you guys called The Zombie Tough Guy.
No food if we do not find someone to help us out. Oh, wait, hey,
778, 79, 72.
Bro, he's a bro. Hey, so you're like a big tough guy and human and not zombie. Like, would you like to join our crew to like survive the apocalypse? Like, I know we're kind of weird, but would you like to join?
Hang out with you guys? No way. I am way too strong for that. And plus, you don't even have any muscles, bro. You're not cool.
No! Okay.
133.
But please, like, could you, like, if we work as a group together,
135.
I mean, I have the strength, but I have some mind sometimes. I can do 6 minus 2.
No, absolutely.
6. But no?
No, bro, the only guns I'll need are these right
But
here.
those are biceps.
Yeah.
Oh, he's still going.
Have I ever told you guys about the time my son almost died? I gotta tell you guys a lot of stories. Have y'all ever heard that? Alright, so a few weeks ago, probably a few months now, we were having exchange Dream Team guys night. Make some noise if you're on the Dream Team. Right. So we were at Matt Gidry. Where's Matt Gidry at? Alright, so we were at Matt Gidry's house, and everyone's in the corner and they're eating pizza. And my son's still in the swimming pool. And at this point, he can't swim. And I'm on my way to go get him some floaties because we forgot his floaties. So he's on a not a buggy board, like an air mattress for the water. Floaty. Yeah, sure, floaty. He's on a floaty, right? So he's on a floaty, everyone's in the corner and is eating, and he falls off of this floaty into the swimming pool that is only 6 feet deep all the way across. So he can't reach the bottom. So he's like underwater, freaking out, and I don't know if he's in here. I'm not even gonna put him on blast. One of our students who come to the exchange sees what's happening, right? So they run up to the swimming pool, and I'm like, okay, praise God, because at this time, I just had surgery. I got my arm sling on, right? So I can't even do anything about it. This fool, I am not clowning, before he jumps in the water, does. Hold up one second. I wouldn't want any wrinkles on my shirt. Then this fool dives in to save my son. Yo, I'm glad he didn't have a watch on, a jacket, a hat. That dude would have looked like someone who didn't want to fight. You ever see, someone's like, hold on, we're gonna do this. Hold up. Take off every piece of my earrings. Take off my jacket. I changed my, let me put my watch back. You know what, I put my watch in my hand. Man, but here's the truth. Here's the truth. If my son had been all alone, he would have died. He legit would have died that day. So look at your neighbor and tell them the name of my sermon. All right? Dead men walk alone. So I get asked this question fairly frequently, and it's this. Why when students come to the exchange, they graduate high school, they move on to college, why do so many students fall from faith? It's so common that a student will come here, encounter the presence of God, and then leave, go to college, and lose faith in God. And I truly believe it is because of this one thing. It is because of the people that they hang around with. You show me your friends, and I'll show you your future. Look at your neighbor and say, show me your friends. Look at your other neighbor and say, show me your future. You see, they could have had the exact same encounter that you've had, Olivia. They could have come to this altar and have felt God's presence. God could have been made real to them. God could have shown up in their family and redeemed things. They could have been battling with depression and anxiety, and God could have relieved it. But yet, they leave here encountering God's presence, but yet leave and go to a secular college and all of a sudden fall from their faith in God. It doesn't matter how strong God has been becoming to you in the moment. If you don't protect that, whenever you leave this building, if you don't surround yourself with godly friendships who are hanging and heading in the right direction, you won't survive. Because when you face life alone, you fight life alone. When you face life alone, you fight life alone. Even Jesus, the Son of God, wrapped in flesh, he had community. He had a small group that he hung out with. He had 12 disciples, and he had 3 even closer friends. Peter, James, and John. You see, even Jesus understood this truth of surrounding yourself with fellow believers, because he knew that when you face life alone, look at your neighbor and say, you fight life alone. All right, so to show this truth one step further, we got one last skit for you guys. This one is called Little Miss Zombie.
rain on your parade. Did it rain? Because it's an umbrella. Ah! Back away, you meanie. Guys, I don't know how we're gonna do this. Like, we got an umbrella. We're gonna do anything except for this cool spinning thing. Even then, it's ready.
No, I don't want to.
I don't know what to do. There's just Pastor Matt's jacket's right here, so I'm guessing he's dead. So, I don't know where to learn from. You got a zombie right there. You know, I don't know what's happening. So how are we going to survive? And I don't know how we're going to survive. Maybe this bottle can tell us how to survive. That's right! It did it tell us! We're dead! Wait, hey! We're homeschooled, but if you would like to join our group, we can fight together and not alone. So,
Okay, first of all, she's weird. Second, neither of you are cute, and at this point, the zombies look like a better option. I fight on my own. So, if you don't mind, I have my reputation to think of, so I'm just gonna go, right?
I'm just gonna take my umbrella and leave. It's like a good cookie will do. Just leave. I'm tired of fighting.
So, donate. Put your hands together for our, I guess, drama team. Hey, let me just say this. I'm not suggesting that you go get into zombies. I just thought it would be incredibly funny if we looked at some biblical truths through the lens of zombies, alright? How many of y'all love the show The Walking Dead?
No!
Really? Alright, what about, I think I like Pride and Prejudice zombies. No? Alright? What about Zombieland? Alright? What about Warm Bodies? That's like the only one of the whole bunch that I like. Alright, they got video games now. It's a craze everywhere, even like Resident Evil. Who do you love Resident Evil? Alright, just a few. Alright, so hey, look, you may be saying at this point, look, Matt, I don't know a thing about zombies. Well, good, because I did some research. Y'all want to hear some research on zombies? Alright, so check this out. So zombies come about when someone dies, their bodies come back to life as a mere shell without intellectual or emotional capacity. They are only concerned with eating and staying alive. Alright? They even have this guy who wrote this book called The Zombie Survival Guide. Alright? I want to read you guys the first 2 paragraphs of this book. Alright? Look at your neighbor and say, let's get it. Alright? So this comes directly from The Zombie Survival Guide. As with any other type of combat, undead warfare should never be a solo mission. As stated before, in Western, particularly American culture, there is the myth of the individual super being, one man, one woman, well armed and highly skilled, with nerves of steel, who can conquer the world. In truth, now y'all listen to this, this is funny. Anyone believing this should simply strip naked, holler for the undead, then lay down on a silver platter. Not only will going at it alone get you killed, but it will also create one more zombie. Working together, always together, has shown to be the only successful strategy for staying alive and conquering the enemy. I know that sounds so dumb. So dumb. But when I read that, I cannot help but think of the strategy that Jesus has for us today as disciples. As we've said before, that when you face life alone, you fight life alone. You see, when you do life shoulder to shoulder with someone, when there's areas that you're struggling or sin that you're having problems with, you can have someone who can steer you in the right direction. Or when you enter obstacles and you trip and stumble and fall, your friend can pick you up and help you get through life. You were never intended to do life alone. And let's be honest, we all have areas in our life that aren't God's will. And sometimes we don't even recognize it. Sometimes we don't even notice the areas in our life. We have blind spots in our lives that we need true friends to call us out on it. We need true friends who are going to call us out on our junk. Because here's the deal. Confrontation is not a bad thing if you want to grow spiritually. You see, even Jesus had a crew. They laughed together, they cut up together, they did ministry together, they probably played One Night Werewolves together, I'm sure. That game is definitely for Jesus. So I want to show you guys the scripture in Acts 4:31 through 35. It says, and when they had prayed, the place was shaken where they had assembled together. Let's just pause right here. Look at your neighbor and say they were not alone. Notice it says that they were together. It didn't say, well, you know what? Man, my personality type, I don't really get along with people too much, so I kind of stick to myself. No, the Bible says that they assembled together. It didn't say like, well, the introverts stayed by themselves. Oh, well, you know, I'm kind of shy, so I'm going to stick to myself. No, the Bible said that they all got together. If you continue reading on in the passage, it says, and the multitude of them that believed were of one mind and of one heart. Neither did any of them claim any individual possessions as their own, but they lived life together. Look at your neighbor and say, together. Together. You see, if you want to be alive in Christ and not dead spiritually, then you have to have friends who are alive in Christ. You can't be surrounded by zombies and people who are going nowhere in life, people who are only concerned with eating and staying alive if you want to be alive in the things of God. Nowhere in the Bible does Jesus say you can do this walk alone. No, you see, God is bigger than you can ever imagine. And it's in your friend groups, it's in your circles where you're going to see how big God truly is. You want to step into your purpose? Then you need to step into a group of Christian friends. I wish 5 young people would give God a shout of praise. I love you, whoever that was. Rocky. What's up, Rocky? So it is in community that you will discover the place you were created to be. It is in community that you will discover the place you were created to be. But if you don't choose to get into a community, if you don't choose to surround yourself with believers, if you choose to do this walk alone, then when trials come, you're going to suffer all by yourself. I'm going to say that one more time. If you choose to do this walk alone, then when trials come, you're going to suffer all by yourself. You see, we don't believe in doing life here alone at the Exchange. You know, we have a list of values, and one of them is people are our passion. Look at your neighbor and say, people are our passion. People are our passion. People are our passion. Can we just get like a little bit realer tonight? Y'all good with that? Yeah. All right, I need y'all to like, yes, let's do it. Yeah. The truth is some of y'all walked in here like zombies tonight. Y'all wanted to be walked mindlessly through worship. We need you to lift your hands up in worship. Okay. We want you to sing and clap. Okay. Like, no, you need to think for yourself. You shouldn't need someone on stage to tell you to worship God. You need to engage God on your own. You need to shout and give God praise for what He's done for you in your life, for what He's going to do for you in your life. And even if you're going through a storm, you need to give God praise anyway. You shouldn't need someone to walk you mindlessly through life. Your only concern should not be about eating and staying alive. Let's be more than zombies. Look at your neighbor and say, quit being a zombie.
Sis, stop being a zombie.
You see, we are never going to make a difference in this world. We're never going to make a difference in this world unless we embrace genuine friendships. We're never going to make a difference in this world if love is just something we talk about. Love has to be something we do. You can't have a buffet-style life expecting to show up to service every Wednesday and get what we have to offer to feed you. No. You need a group of friends that you guys have potluck dinner. Everyone brings something to eat. Everyone gets something from the circle, and you guys grow and are nourished together. This can be your only source of nourishment. Hashtag City Crew. Hey, everybody needs a friend like me. Everyone needs a friend like me. I want to tell y'all this funny story, right? So last summer we go to Gulf Shores, all right? And it's me, my son, and Austin right here. And we're on like floor 12, I have no idea. Like we're up like high. So we get in the elevator, and I'm goofy, y'all. I'm like, oh yeah, bet we're on floor 12, watch this. And I hit every single button on the elevator, which I thought would just be a good idea. Like, hey, that's funny. Until we go down one floor, and like there's people that have been waiting for an elevator forever, and the doors open, and they go like, they have these carts full of luggage, and they go to get on the elevator, and I'm like, yo, you for real might want to catch the next elevator. So dumb, bad idea, but everyone needs friends. You guys check this out. Friends are like the buttons on an elevator. They're either going to take you up or they're going to take you down. Guys, we are launching our small group initiative in 2 weeks called My City Cruise. If you guys are excited, make some noise. Let me just say this. If you consider myself or Pastor Kervin your pastor, let me tell you, the heartbeat of us, of the exchange moving forward, is getting engaged in a small group. We truly believe that in small group settings is where you're going to grow the most. It's where you're going to thrive. It's where you're going to find and discover your purpose in life. So I want to give you guys 5 purposes of My City Cruise. All right, so if you're taking notes, I want to encourage you to take these down. Y'all ready? All right, so My City Crew, purpose number 1, so that everyone who comes to the exchange can experience genuine friendships. How many of you all want to see your friends come to know Jesus? I hope everyone in this room wants to see their friends come to know Jesus. But here's the deal. Your friends are not going to come to the exchange because of the amazing band that Megan puts together every week. Y'all put your hands together if y'all love Miss Megan. Incredible. Your friends aren't going to come because we have this world-renowned, incredible speaking, crazy black guy who runs up on stage and preaches every week. No, like, your friends want to feel connected. Those friends who need to know Jesus need to feel loved. And that isn't going to happen from me preaching on stage. That's going to happen from inviting friends to small groups, from doing life together. Because let's be honest, while you guys love Jesus and while you guys care what I have to say, someone who doesn't believe in Jesus could care less what I say on this mic. They want to feel connected. They want to feel loved. They want to do this life with a group of people. Proverbs 18:24 says it best. It says that a real friend will stick closer to you than a brother. People are craving a friend who's going to stick closer than a brother. People are craving that type of connection. They are craving that type of community. But Pastor Matt, what if I'm not good at making friends? Let me give you a real basic tip on how to make friends. Here's the key. All right? If you want to make friends, be friendly. All right? Boom. Dale Carnegie, all right? I have no idea who this is, but I'm going to give him props for his quote. He says this. He says that you can make more friends. You can make more friends in 2 months by becoming interested in other people than you can make in 2 years by trying to get other people interested in you. Look at your neighbor and say, that is good. So genuine friendships don't just happen by chance. So wipe that I'm constipated look off your face, smile, and make some friends. Look at your neighbor and say, be friendly. Alright, my city purpose number 2. Y'all ready? Alright, number 2. If you want to grow spiritually, you need to grow with a group of friends. Proverbs 27:17 says this. It says that just like iron sharpens iron, so also a good friend sharpens another friend. When you sharpen iron with iron, there's heat, there's friction, there's sparks. Whenever 2 friends are doing life together, there's going to be heat, there's going to be friction, there's going to be sparks. Look, Von D is my best friend, and I'm telling you, sometimes, especially if we just bought a new board game and we're trying to figure it out, there are going to be heat and friction and sparks. And that's... You need a friend who isn't going to sugarcoat everything for you. You need a friend who is going to tell you the truth. Because here's the truth. Real spiritual growth, and I'm sure you guys have heard this before, real spiritual growth is going to happen in circles. It's not going to happen in rows. I can tell you how to live life from up here. Jasmine, I can tell you how to live life up here. But when we're in a circle, when we're in a small group, I can show you how to do life. There's a difference between me telling you how to live life and me modeling it and showing it for you. So there are 2 characteristics for an iron sharpens iron friend. There are 2 characteristics for an iron sharpens iron friend. Got it out. Boom. Thank you, Olivia. You're awesome. All right, look at your neighbor and say 2 characteristics.
I know that.
You know them. Prophet in the building.
Me and my dad, iron sharpen iron. Yeah.
Prophet Rocket. All right, 2 characteristics. Here we go. All right. So here's the number 1 characteristic of an iron sharpens iron friend. They talk to you about God in the most important place. Look at your neighbor and say, what's the most important place? Outside of church. They talk to you about God outside of church. The second characteristic of an iron sharpens iron friends is that they're going to have the gut to tell you things that may make them feel uncomfortable. They're going to have the gut to tell you things that make them feel uncomfortable. They're going to go beyond that surface level type friendship. They're going to ask you things like, Joey, how's your walk with Jesus? They're going to ask you questions like, yo, Tristan, bro, I mean, how's the enemy smashing in your head, bro? Like, how's the enemy kicking in your walk? They're going to ask you those things that are going to go beyond the surface level type friendships. They're going to go deeper with you. Because here, let me tell you this. An iron sharpened iron friend is the only true friend you'll ever have. And a true friend will also tell you stuff that you sometimes don't want to hear. Because here's the deal. Y'all want to hear the only true friends you have in your life?
Yup.
The only people in your life who really love you, the only people in your life who truly love you are the ones that will look you in the face and say, no. The only people in your life who really love you will look you in the face and say, no. Alright. My city crew. How many of y'all are excited for my city crew? I'm so pumped. These crews are going to be incredible. Alright, so here's point number 3. So we can be here for each other during the tough times. Okay, can we just get real? Life stinks sometimes. It stinks when you get dumped.
Stinks all the time.
It stinks when you get bad grades. It stinks when you don't get accepted into college. Yo, it stinks when you feel alone, when you feel isolated, when you have no one to talk to. Life stinks sometimes. C.S. Lewis has this quote, and he says that God whispers in the good times, but God shouts in the pain. You see, when I showed up here at Crossroads Church 7 years ago for the very first time, I was strung out on meth, strung out on pain pills, strung out on Xanax. And I encountered God in worship. What do I do with that? What does that do whenever I get home?
Garbage.
What's crazy, what's cool is this, is as I was leaving that service, they had a guy, a good friend of mine now, his name is Aaron DiMaggio. And as I'm walking out of that service by myself, probably 130 pounds, face sunk in, he came up to me and he was like, man, you know what, dude? I want to take you, I want to feed you. Let's go to Chick-fil-A, let's get some food. First time I ever had Chick-fil-A. Yeah. Brought me to Chick-fil-A, he fed me, he introduced me to people, and he prayed with me. And let me tell you this, that Jesus became more real to me in that moment from the tangible presence of a person reaching out to me than that feeling I had when I was in church. Because for once in my life, I didn't feel alone. You see, small groups are going to help us create that atmosphere. Small groups are going to make sure that everyone is loved on, is known. We all want to feel connected. We all want to feel loved. Nobody wants to feel alone. And small groups are going to help us create that atmosphere. Ecclesiastes 4, 9 through 10 says it pretty spot on. It says, 2 people are better than one. Look at your neighbor and say, we're better together. They'd be looking at the same sex. Girls be looking at girls and guys be looking at guys. I saw some girls and guys looking together. Man, that's not what I was trying to do. Nope. All right, so 2 people are better than one. Because if they fall in a ditch, one will lift up the other. But woe to the man who is alone when he falls, for he won't have anyone nearby to help him get back up. God uses community to reach his people. Some of the biggest God moments in your life are going to come out of the mouth. They're going to come from the words, from the touch of a friend. God's plan is to reach his people with his people. It's the way God designed it. Look at your neighbor and say, small group purpose number 4. No R. F-O. Number 4. All right, my city crew purpose number 4.
Food.
Number 4. So we can all find our place here and use our own spiritual gifts. Yo, here's the deal. 95% of the people in this room will never come on stage again. 95%, I'm not saying you won't, but 95% of you statistically will not come on stage and preach or use a microphone. You know why? Because God has designed you with other giftings. Your giftings may be something like a good listener. That's something I don't have. That is a discipline for me. That is not a gift. You may be incredibly hospitable. You may be really nice. You may be really friendly. And it's in those small groups is where you're going to discover some of the giftings that God has placed on the inside of you. Because here's the deal. Church, what we do here was never intended to be a spectator sport. It was intended to be a family together and us go out from here encouraged and lifted up, ready to reach the world with the love of God. We do that through our My City crews. If you decide to do life by yourself, I'll be honest, there's a lot of things you can get by yourself. There's a quote that says, one can acquire everything in life in isolation, except for character. One can acquire everything in solitude except for character. There are things in your life that you will never discover. There are giftings that you have on the inside of you, London, that you will never discover until you step into a small group and you watch God move in those settings. God has created us for community. My city crew purpose, number 5, so that we can be a large youth group that feels small. The truth is, we want this youth group to grow. We want the exchange to grow, right? And why? Why is that? Because people are lost, people are dying, people are hurting, people need the love of Jesus. So we need to grow in numbers so our arm can extend all over Acadiana. But if we grow in numbers and we don't grow in connection, then what's it all for? It's through small groups that we will grow larger but feel smaller.
Amen.
There's a world full of lost people who need to feel the love of God. John 13:35 says this. This is the words of Jesus. It says, your love for one another will prove to the world that you are my disciples. We aren't a cool club here at the Exchange. We are a home for the healthy, and we are a hospital for the hurting. We want to reach Acadiana with the love of Jesus. We want people to come here and feel connected. That happens through small groups. So let's join a small group and change the world. Y'all with me? So as I was doing my study for this, and I came across this story. It's about this kid named Michael. This kid named Michael, he was driving, he just got his license, and as he was driving, he swerved off the road. He hit a culvert. He was ejected from the vehicle. They rushed him to the emergency room. They called his dad, and they said that, look, Michael's gonna die unless he has a blood transfusion. They ran his blood type, and the only blood type that matched Michael's was his little brother, his little 5-year-old brother. So the dad had to then go to Danny and say, Danny, hey, man, Michael's been in a bad car accident, and he needs your blood to survive. Could you help out Michael? The story goes on and it says that Danny didn't say a word. He nodded his head. So the dad loads him up in the car. They get to the hospital and they put Danny in a room next to Michael. The dad says that Danny never says a word. They sit him in the chair. The nurse walks up and she's like, hey, this is gonna hurt a little bit. She pulls out his arm. She sticks the needle in his arm. She fills up 2 bags of blood. Danny still hasn't said a word. The nurse pulls the needle out of Danny's arm. And as soon as the needle left Danny's arm, tears started streaming down his face. The dad looked at Danny and he says, Danny, does this hurt? He says, no, Dad. Just wondering, how much longer do I have to live? You see, in that moment, Danny didn't understand that he wasn't giving away some of his blood. He thought he was giving all of his blood to his brother. He thought he was giving his life to his brother. It's time for us to give our life to a bigger cause than ourselves. How many of y'all want to do that? We need to give our life to something bigger than our own. You see, everyone wants to feel like they belong. They want to be connected to something bigger than themselves. And that comes from giving your life away. It comes from getting plugged into small groups. It comes from discovering your giftings and giving those giftings back so the body of Christ can thrive. Because each one of you have a purpose. God has a plan for every single one of you in this ministry. God has a plan for every single one of you in your life. And you will start discovering those purposes in small groups. I heard this quote, and it says, it's never a bad idea to give what you cannot keep to gain what you cannot lose. Let me break that down just a little bit. It is never a bad idea to give what you cannot keep. Olivia, you cannot keep your life. there's gonna come a day when you're gonna have to give your life back to God. No one lives forever. Everyone has to give their life back to God. So it is never a bad idea to give what you cannot keep, to gain what you cannot lose. And that's those things in eternity, on eternity. That's those things in heaven. It is never a bad idea to give your life to gain everything in heaven. Remember, Christianity, it may be free, but Christianity is never cheap. Christianity will cost you everything if you do it the way Jesus intended. But as you give everything, you're going to gain everything. So if we could have every head bowed, every eye closed. What's awesome is the gospel is that Jesus came down from heaven and he died for your sins. And he didn't just die so you'd be forgiven. Well, yes, that is a part of it. He died so that you could have eternal life, that you could walk and prosper and not be struggling and suffering on this side of eternity. But it starts with giving away your life. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to count to 3.